Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. Welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. It's a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. Our class today is called Frog Pose. Yes, there is a frog pose in yoga. So what is frog pose? You can probably guess. So think about frogs' legs. Yes, we'll be working our legs, particularly our inner thighs. Now this is a great stretch for the inner thighs, but we're going to also add in a little bit of work that will help strengthen your inner legs and really just something that will give overall strength and stability for the upper region of your legs. I like doing this because not only do we get tight in our inner thighs, but also our thighs and our hamstrings, but we also want to strengthen the muscles really supporting our joints like our knees. So that's our focus today. We do need some props. So you can see over here off to the side, I've got a chair. I'm going to be using that for a little bit of stability and balance as we get into some of our standing postures. So if you have a chair nearby or a wall, a table, anything like that, that'll be great. You also will need a blanket, something soft to sit on and kneel on, particularly something to kneel on. And a couple of yoga blocks that we always use. I've got two here. You can also use some hardbound books. And you also need a big pillow or cushion. I've got my yoga bolster. There we go. Yoga bolster, something firm. Big pillow, big cushion from your bed, from your sofa. You might even want two, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and set this to the side. We're going to go ahead and begin our practice. Sitting up nice and tall here. Taking a few deep breaths just to get into our bodies. A nice full inhale and a complete exhale through the mouth. Let's do that again. Nice full breath in and exhale. And just feel your body just settle into the space. Taking these first few moments of our practice to settle in and get really prepared for our practice today. Letting go of the things that are going on outside of you so you can pay attention to what's going on inside of you. Breath is a wonderful tool and resource that draws us inward. So take this journey inward. Again, a nice full breath in and a complete breath out. Just hold in stillness for a few moments. Pay attention to the sound of your breath. So if you're breathing softly, just turn up the volume of your breath so you can hear it. Experience how your body is responding to your breath. That can just simply mean the rise and fall of your chest or belly as you breathe in and out. Just feel that. Even imagine that breath is moving throughout your entire body. And just to bring a little bit more attention and awareness to your breath, as you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. So a pretty expansive breath. Then as you exhale, as you're able, you want to draw your navel inward towards your spine. A light contraction of your abdominal muscles. We call this the abdominal lock. It's a way of preserving energy in your body. Again, an inhale to feel the lengthening of your spine, so sit up as tall as you can. Feel the breath rise to expand and open through your lungs and heart space. Listening to the sound. Exhaling, drawing belly in. It's also an awareness of your center body. And do that a few more times. Deepening your personal connection with self. Very good. Let's take 3 more breaths like this, all in preparation to move our bodies. We're just going to add a very simple movement to the movement of our breath. So when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out across the room. Reach like you'll touch the walls and then eventually up to touch the ceiling. That's the inhale. Then exhale, extend your arms out with good effort. Reach, again, touch the walls on either side of you and bring your arms back down by your side to complete that round of breath. Let's do that again. Inhale, reaching out, good energy through the arms, hands, and fingers, reaching upward. Feel that stretch. Exhale, draw belly button in towards your spine to preserve that good energy you're creating as you bring your arms back down by your side. Now go ahead and continue this on your own. Breathe and move at your own pace. So you don't have to move in the same pace or at the same pace as I am. Just listen to your breath. Feel your breath. You can even close your eyes to do this. Just some things to notice. You might be moving in slow motion. Just feel what's happening in your body. The energy in your arms as you reach, and just take that little extra reach at the top. Feel the energy shoot through your fingertips, reaching out, bringing the arms down, noticing the movement in your shoulders, the lengthening in the sides of your body. Lots to pay attention to as you focus on yourself. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths here. Take your time. When you're complete, you can just let your arms rest down by your side and your hands can rest in your lap. And just continue with slow, steady breaths. Now from here, just bring your hands behind you and just prop yourself up onto your fingertips just to make your arms a little longer. As you bring your arms behind you, also draw or roll the shoulders back and hold them back. What you may even do is squeeze the shoulder blades together. What you're doing is engaging your back muscles to help draw the shoulders back. And with the shoulders back, you might even feel the stretch sensation across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. That will get emphasized as we get into the breath work. Lastly, just tip your chin up slightly, not too much, not to force that sensation. And we've created this mild seated back bend. Now we'll breathe. Inhale, press into the ground with your fingertips. Feel the energy shoot up the arms, fill up your lungs, and again, feel that stretch across the chest. Now with the exhale, we're still drawing the belly button in towards spine and still squeezing the shoulder blades together behind you. So we're creating more sensation in the body. Notice what's happening. Notice this wonderful energy you're creating. And as you're creating it, we're preserving it. And that's that abdominal lock. In yoga, we call that Uddiyana Bandha, the abdominal lock. Drawing the belly button in towards spine. It's one of several locks that we create in our bodies. Take 2 more breaths here. And after that second breath, just lower your chin so you're looking directly forward. You can walk toward yourself with the arms and let them rest in your lap once again, and just feel the body sit up nice and tall and relax after that engaged sensation. Just hold for a moment. So you can really feel that energy in your arms, your back, your chest, as we were seated in that mild back bend. Let's create a new sensation as we now create a forward fold. Now if your legs are crossed here, let's go ahead and uncross the legs and move into cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. Just press the soles of your feet together. The knees will be bent, kind of pointing out to the sides. It's okay if they don't touch the floor. They don't have to touch the floor. This is where your books or blocks or even some small pillows can come in handy. Just tuck them underneath the legs so your legs rest on something so they feel comfortable and relaxed. Now go ahead and hold on to your shins or ankles and just use that sensation to sit up as tall as you can. We really want a well-extended spine. Inhale to grow even taller, feel the breath rising. Exhale, preserve that energy, drawing belly in, also creating energy as we now fold forward. Gently hinging forward from the hips, leading with your heart and chin, and just creating this mild angle in the upper body. Hold here for a second as we set up for the next thing. Inhale again, feel the lifting and lengthening of the torso and spine. Exhale, draw belly in, and if you'd like to, hinge forward a tiny bit more, not much. In soft flow, we take our time. We move slowly into our poses, and we don't have to go deep into a pose necessarily. Just want to get to a place where you have sensation. So just notice, where do you feel this? Maybe you feel this in the inner legs, and that's one of our primary focuses of our practice today. So if you want to give a little bit more sensation to that area without overdoing it, you can also just lower your chin, let your back round, and then fold a little bit more. Now we've also created sensation in your back by doing that, but also noticing what's happening in the inner legs. Now again, we're not needing to force this pose. We don't have to go too deep into the posture. Sometimes going too deep, too fast, too far, we just continue to stress the body. The body is already under enough stress. In yoga, especially soft flow, my intention is to be able to get into poses and do some very beneficial work for our minds and bodies, but not stressing it. What we want to trigger in our brains and through the rest of our bodies is that ability to be restful, be calm, even in stressful situations. Let's hold here for a few more breaths. Good. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Now as we complete that final breath, we're ready to move. Now if your back is rounded as mine is, let's re-extend the spine. Simply just lift the chin so the neck is in the same alignment as the spine. That will start to lengthen the spine as well. We're going to hinge our way back up from the hips, but feel free to place your hands on the floor to help guide your way up until you're nice and tall in your seat. Once you're here, just take a couple of breaths. All right, let's move our props out of the way. We're going to come to our hands and knees. And here's where you might want to use your nice soft pad, your blanket or towel, or even double up on your yoga mats. We're going to come to our hands and knees here and move into 2 poses that flow together, cat pose and cow pose. We start with cow. It's an inhale where we tip the head up, looking forward. Feel like your heart is moving forward. At the same time, the pelvis is tipping back as the back arches and the belly drops. That's an inhale. And with the exhale, if you can, start with the back end of your body and feel the pelvis tuck underneath. It's a posterior tilt. Feel the belly button pull up towards your spine. Let the back round, chin moves towards chest. That's cat. Inhale, send the pelvis back, anterior tilt, arched back, back bend, heart forward, look forward. Exhale, round it out. So I was going slowly there to break it down, but you can go at your own pace. Notice the sensations here. I think this is a wonderful movement that helps condition the spine, your back, your hips, your pelvis. Just feels really good. If you're looking for something from the yoga world that you can do on a daily basis, maybe it's this. It only takes a few seconds to work your spine, work your hips, just to loosen up any tight areas. Now let's finish the breath that we're on and take 2 more. And just come back to a neutral tabletop posture. One thing you may notice that being in poses like this where we're putting some weight on our hands and wrists, our wrists can get a little tired. So what I like to do in soft flow is just tuck the toes here, just kind of carefully sit back. I call this half hero, just so that it takes the pressure off the hands. So it gives you an opportunity to maybe flex them the other way. Rather than this way, a forced flex, we just bend them the other way. And give a light press. I do like 3 pulses. The top of the hand on my blanket, and I certainly do that with both wrists. Here's something else that gives them some relief. Just little circles with the wrists here, and maybe wiggle your fingers. That can help, and you can do that anytime. So if you feel like you're on your hands and knees too long in a cat-cow or a plank pose or even downward facing dog, which we're getting ready to do, feel free to come out of the pose and give yourself a little rest. Okay, let's go ahead and move our pad out of the way. We'll be using that again later, so make sure it's not too far away. Here we are, back again on our hands and knees. Now, this is that forced flex. Shoulders are right over the wrists here, forced flex. We're going to change that here as we get prepared for downward facing dog. Let's step the hands forward slightly so your wrists are out from underneath the shoulders. Also spread out your fingers pretty wide. Several things or several reasons why we're doing that. One, you'll get a stretch between each finger, and it provides a nice stronger base for your palms, your hands. Even grip your mat with your fingertips, and that should take some of the pressure, not all of it, some of the pressure away from the wrists now that they are out in front of us. Also, press into the palms so it flattens the palms. You're getting a nice stretch actually for your hands. And even notice your arms, strong and straight. Now we're ready. Let's get the toes ready, so tuck your toes under. Another cat-cow flow. So inhale, tip the chin up, arch your back. That's cow. There's our little back bend. Exhale, round it out into cat. Hold cat, pull belly button up towards spine. Preserve that energy. Lift your knees and then hips up into the air like so. You'll be in downward facing dog. Once you're in down dog, you might want to adjust your feet so they're in a good spot. You feel good, you feel comfortable. You might even adjust your hands. I'm just taking mine a little bit wider, and I'm relaxing my head. Maybe nod yes a few times. Shake your head no. We're in this inverted position, downward facing dog. Keep a softness in the knees that will allow mobility in your hips so that your hips can lift, helping you to extend your torso. Long spine. Now, let's take a few steps forward with the feet towards the center of the mat so your feet are flat on the mat underneath you. Then just slide your fingertips towards your toes. You'll be in forward fold. Let's just hold here for a few more seconds. The knees can be bent. You're starting to get a stretch and lengthening for the hamstrings. Then we're going to inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only rising up halfway here. Let's hold here. Maintain the bend of the knees. You're going to still feel the energy generating in your hamstrings. Also be aware of your feet. Going back to our foundation, be sure they feel grounded. The whole foot feels rooted into the earth here. Meanwhile, your torso, it's parallel to the floor. Your gaze or eye line is down at the ground. The top of your head is pointing, even feeling like it's moving forward. Your hips and tailbone pointing to the back of the room, and that's where they're going. Now we do a weight shift back into the heels so you can easily tap your toes, taking the weight back. Bend your knees like you're sitting down, so lower your hips, but at the same time lift your chest. That way we maintain a flat back. Then take your arms out to the side. Drive your heels into the floor to stand up tall. We're just putting energy into the legs to stand up without straining the back, and then bring your arms up into the air. Continue that nice lengthening of the spine, growing tall. Then as you exhale, bring your arms down to your side. Wonderful. Here's our first standing position. Take a moment to maybe shake out the shoulders here. I like to create big circles, roll them back a few times, roll them forward. You can even just literally shake it out. Just any tension that you might be holding. Very good. Now let's do that same sequence. It's just called our half salute, where we fold forward and then come back up, taking our time. Here we go, standing near the top of the mat. Arms down by your side. Let's just roll the shoulders down and back. Nice long neck. Your gaze is forward. This is our mountain pose. Here we go. Inhale. Let's extend the arms out and up into the air. Exhale. Spread your wings. Arms out to the side. Bend your knees and sit back into the imaginary chair. Again, the back is flat until we get about 3/4 or a quarter of the way down. Let the arms drop. Let the head drop. And then the back will naturally round. This feels good here. Inhale, slide your hands back up to the shins or knees. Rising up halfway. Again, we're going to hold at our flat back. Firm, solid connection to the ground with the feet. Slight bend in the knees. Feel the energy in the hamstrings. All the same with the upper body. Shifting weight now into the heels. Bend your knees. Sitting down, looking up, arms out to the side. This is the important part. We're driving the heels into the floor to drive and create energy in the legs. So it takes any pressure away from the back so we can easily stand. Then finish that spinal extension by taking the arms up into the air and then arms return to your side. And that's our half salute to the sun. And more movement in the shoulders and any other parts of your body. Well done. Okay, let's do our variation of Warrior One, which is a lunge, which is really getting us ready for our frog pose. Remember, we're doing frog pose later on, working the inner thighs, and this is getting ready for that. So join me here at the top of the mat. You can even, if your chair or table or wall is nearby, right here, you can certainly use it. So let's start mountain pose, soft knees. So we'll put a little bend in the knees, keep that bend. Shifting weight now into the right foot. Press firmly into the floor with the right foot so you feel the energy in that leg. Then inhale, grow nice and tall. Lengthen spine, look forward. Exhale, draw belly in. You might even lean forward just so you don't fall forward. If something's in front of you, just use that to hold on to. We're picking up the left heel, just the heel, and then just tap that foot back, right about there. Okay, I'm just using the chair here as an example, just in case you need a little bit extra stability. But we just tap that foot back until it naturally stops. So there's not too much distance between the feet. But I'm going to pull away from the chair, pivot or turn my leg outward, and then step or press that heel into the floor, shifting the weight back so I'm balanced here. And then keep that bend in the knees, nice and soft. But I'm pretty balanced. I don't feel like I'm going to fall over. Even distribution of weight across the feet in this lunge. Now, place your hands on your hips. You're going to push your pelvis down, or imagine you're pushing your pelvis down, and then feel the lengthening of the torso. Get nice and tall. You'll feel quite proud here. And then turn your torso mostly facing the front of the room. Now, inhale, extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, bend elbows to about 90 degrees, so something like this. And we'll hold here. So this is our variation of Warrior One that we've added to our practice just to get the body ready for the second version of Warrior One, which will come later. So just getting the feeling of being able to stand with your feet apart like this and finding your center, finding your balance. Let's inhale, extend the arms straight up. Exhale, bring the arms down. Bring your hands to your hips. And we'll shift that weight into this front foot. So we can pick up that left heel again, maybe turn the toes forward, and then just step forward, bringing feet together. Let's re-extend the entire body. With an inhale, reach both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side. And if you'd like, you can even shake that out. Let's get set up for the other side, and certainly go at your own pace. Soft knees to begin with. Shifting weight into your left foot, press into the floor. Feel the energy generating in that left leg. We're inhaling to get nice and tall. Fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in. Lean forward a little bit. Really just gripping the mat with your left set of toes. Or if you happen to have something to hold on to for balance, do that. I'm peeling the right heel off the floor, just the heels, toes are still on the ground. Same thing, I'm just tapping the foot back until it just stops naturally. Then I'm shifting the weight back, but I'm going to turn that foot out, and then there. Now I'm solid on both feet. A little bit of distance between the feet, softness in the knees. Once again, place hands on hips. Imagine you're pushing your pelvis down. Feel long and tall through the torso. Exhale, draw belly in, and then facing forward. That lifting and moving in these opposite directions like that just provides a little bit more space in the waistline, so you can face mostly forward. Inhale, extend both arms into the air. Exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. Hold for a few breaths. Once again, just notice your foundation, both feet solid on the ground. Hopefully no pressure at all in your knees. And we want that because that means our legs, the muscles, the big muscles of the legs are activating and they're strengthening. Inhale, extend both arms up into the sky. Exhale, arms come down to your side, hands to hips, lean forward. Once again, put weight into this front foot. Let's pick that back heel, turn toes forward so everything's square and facing forward, and then just step the feet together. Inhale, extend both arms up into the air, reach high. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very nice. All right, let's do another lunge exercise here. And we are going to use the chair or wall or table, whatever you happen to have. I'm going to fold my mat back here so I can bring in the chair so you can see that a little bit more clearly. So I'm just going to be facing my prop, wall, table, or chair right here. Maybe just arms by your side. Follow me. We're going to almost the same thing, but soft knees. Inhale, take both arms up, reach high. Exhale, bring the arms forward and down to your table, chair, or wall. I'm leaning forward a little bit. Put some bend in the knees. I'm putting weight into the right foot. Peel the left heel off the floor. Step the foot back. And then I'm going to keep that heel lifted. And I'm just kind of shifting my body. So just my fingertips here are on the wall, table, or chair. In this case, it's just the back of my chair. Now we're going to be paying attention to this back leg. So it's extended back. I'm going to see if I can actually take another step back. Alrighty, putting a little bit more distance between the feet. So I'm just picking up and just stepping back. All 10 toes are pointing forward. That heel is lifted. Now I'm just going to keep holding on to my chair with the right hand. We're actually going to turn this left leg out. We're going to keep the right leg right where it is. Follow me. Just feel this rotation, plant. Okay, so that knee turned out, foot turned out, that knee is bent. We're going to turn it back. We're going to do it 2 more times. Here, here. It's almost like a ballet move. Here and here. Just so you can feel that rotation in the hip, in its socket there, but also because of this plie, another dance term, you're feeling a little bit of strength in the inner legs. You're going to keep hold of the balance by holding on to the back of the chair. Knees are bent, and check in with my alignment. My knees are right over the ankle bones or heels. They're not jetting past. That way I'm not putting any pressure in the knees and really feeling the thigh muscles and inner legs engage. Now I'm just going to drive the heels down into the floor and act as a way to lengthen or straighten the legs. Do that 2 more times. Bend, but not too far, so the knees stay over the heels or ankles. Press into the floor with the heels, pull. It's like you're just, I call it a zipper, like you're zipping up through here, but that energy is coming up through the inner legs. One last time, bend, not too far. Exhale, drive heels into the floor, pull up. Alrighty. Let's get back to the original place. I'm going to put a little bend in both knees. Going to swing that leg back this direction. Still using this for balance. A little push, bending this back knee. Little push to step forward. We're just going to do the other side. Alrighty? So let's go ahead and inhale, both arms up. This is just to ensure an extended spine. Exhale, bring the arms down to your object, prop that you're using to help with balance. Let's bend the knees, put some weight down to your left foot, peel the right heel off the floor, step back. Alrighty, so that's the first movement. I'm going to go again, stepping back. There. And my hands, fingertips are just on my chair for balance. We're going to do that same thing, working the right leg. I'm going to be turning away from you. So we're going to inhale first, exhale, let's rotate out, and then bring it back in. Our little ballet move. 2 more. 1, little bend to the knees, little grand plie, back in. Notice that rotation in the hip. 1 more. There we are. Now we're going to hold it open. You can even just place this other hand on your hip or keep the arm free. So we're in our grand plie. Now in yoga it has several other names, other nicknames. One name is goddess pose, which I think is a wonderfully powerful name, goddess pose. Also has another name like horse stand, okay? Let's go with goddess. All right, so we have this bend in the knees, making sure my knees are over the heels or ankles so there's no pressure in the knees, but because I'm holding this, I can really feel this in my thighs, feel this in my glutes as well, and hamstrings and inner legs. With The exhale, press into the floor with the heels, coming up nice and tall. And then we're going to go back down slowly without going too far. Exhale, drive into the floor with the heels, that zipping up sensation. We're going to do that one more time. Bend the knees, going down slowly. Exhale, that zipping up sensation. There we are. I'm just going to soften here. All right, we're going to pivot, returning to the front here. Leaning forward, little push. I'm just bending this right knee so I can just launch myself forward, stepping forward. And there we are. So you may already feel sensation kind of in the upper legs, because I really worked every part of the legs. Stepping back in that lunge kind of gets a little stretch in the hip flexors down into the thigh. Because of the opening of the leg, we're getting into the inner thigh, including the quadriceps here, the thighs, and a little bit of hamstring support. So the whole leg is involved, right up the back side to your glutes. Wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and move our chair out to the side there, off camera, and then I'm going to roll out my mat. I need to adjust my mat. Let's meet together in mountain pose and make our way down, going through a sun salutation. We're still working our way towards our frog pose. Here we go. Inhale, extend the arms up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair. Take your time, slowly folding. Your belly will come down towards your thighs. Let your arms drop, let your head drop, releasing completely. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees and extend your spine. This exhale, fold again, bend the knees more, slide back down the legs. Keep going until you're able to place your hands on the floor in front of your feet and just carefully take as many steps as you need to, stepping back to the back end of your mat until you're able to draw a straight line or straight-ish line in the body here in plank pose. Some wonderful upper body strength. Bend your knees a little bit, send your hips up into the air. You might want to tiptoe forward a little bit because you do want your hips to be quite high in the posture. Adjust your hands, adjust your feet. Make sure the knees are bent, hips high, long torso, straight arms, relax head and neck. Now, next movement, we're picking up the right foot, extend the right leg back behind you. Doesn't have to be high, just lift it and extend it. That's an inhale. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin, shifting forward. Take a look at your shoulders. You want them aligned over the wrist. Then set the right foot down. Just your toes, heel lifted like we did earlier. Set the left knee onto the floor as well. You're going to pull the weight away from the hand so you can pick up your right hand. Use that hand to go get your right ankle. Grab the ankle, pick up the foot, and place it up a little higher on your mat. Not too far. You want to still have space for your hand. Re-lift the left knee. Here, pivot or turn left heel so it's on the floor. The weight is still forward here. If I tried to lift here, I'd put way too much pressure on the knee. So what we like to do is start to pull the hips back, put more weight in that back foot. We're returning to that even distribution of weight within the feet like we did standing. Here though, we're in this forward fold and the feet are farther apart. You can even rise up to your fingertips. That should help you shift the weight back. Here, check with your alignment. Can you see me? Right knee is over my heel. That's perfect. I like to bring one hand, then two hands up to the thigh. Extend the spine here first. That way I don't impinge the spine as I hinge my way up. I'm just pushing into the thigh, helping my upper body to lift so I can face forward, finishing with the arms reaching up into the air. Exhale, just lunge a little bit more. There's our warrior one. So a different sensation. This is our second version of warrior one. More distance between the feet. You might feel more of that stretch here in the hip flexor, upper thigh region. Be sure your right knee and toes are pointing forward. Nice alignment of that knee over the heel or ankle. Inhale. Exhale, slowly turn your torso towards the left side of the room as you bring your arms down to parallel. Just like that. Hold for a second because we're going to make some adjustments. First, just arrive in the posture so you're here, but we're going to relax the arms, just bring them down. You're going to make some adjustments. One, if you need to turn your foot, because I do, just to adjust So there's more freedom down through the whole leg. Do that. What you want to imitate or simulate is basically, just stay where you are, just watch. You want to simulate the leg kind of facing forward like that, okay? So that's more square and aligned. It's just out at an angle, alrighty? So there's no pressure in the knee, hip, or ankle, alrighty? So that's our Warrior Two position, foot turned out a little bit. But we're gonna change this, do what we did earlier by softening this left knee, putting some weight in the toe so I can lift the heel, kind of spin on the toe so the knee turns out, plant the heel down. So now we're in a wider goddess pose. Feel this in the inner legs. Now you can stay up high, and I would recommend that just so that your knees stay over your heels or ankles. That way you really feel the muscular engagement here and not pressure. Just watch, don't do this. Okay, you don't want the knees, you don't want to be here where your knees are jetting out. You're going to put pressure in the knees. This doesn't feel good. It pulls away from all this. Alrighty? But you don't have to go down too low to feel this. I can already feel this. Let's return to the outstretched arms, and if you can, take the arms straight up, and this puts us into our goddess pose. Now let's go ahead and bring the arms down, drive the heels into the ground to lift, really just to get out of that pose a little bit. We're going to swing this left leg around, so it returns us to our Warrior One. Inhale here. Exhale, hinge and fold, hands to the floor. You can even lift that back heel again so all 10 toes are pointing forward. Press hands into the mat. Strong connection there. Takes the pressure off the right foot so we can slide it back so we're in plank pose once again. Let's take a brief rest. Knees to the floor. You can keep toes tucked. Sit back. If you need to, a little pulse for those wrists. May not need it, but just in case. Alrighty, so kind of mimicking what we did in the first version of those Warrior Ones and Goddess Pose, we just added the second version of Warrior One, added the Warrior Two, and the second version of Goddess. Alright, hands out in front. Return to Downward Facing Dog. Take your time, arrive here. Other side when you're ready. Let's inhale to pick up the left foot and extend the left leg back behind us. As you exhale, bend the left knee so you can bring the left knee in underneath you towards your chest at the same time, shifting forward. Check out your shoulders, aligned over the wrists, then set the left foot down, just your toes, heel lifted. Right knee comes down. Pull away from the pressure in the hands. Pick up the left hand, use it to go get your left ankle. Pick it up, place the foot a little higher. Make space so your hand can come back here as well. Relift the right knee, pivot right heel to the floor. Remember, we don't want to stand from here. Set it up. Walk your hands back. Pull the hips back. Put more weight in that back foot. Feel and see the realignment of this knee over heel or ankle. Even rise up to fingertips. You can even bring in a couple of blocks to help extend the spine here. Right hand, then left hand on thigh. Press, lift the upper body facing forward. Then, once we're tall, extend the arms up into the air. Here's our Warrior One. Hold so you can experience the sensation and check in. Left knee bent, pointing forward over the heel. Right leg mostly straight, but feeling the hip flexor stretch. Upper thigh. Still in motion. Inhale. Exhale, turn your torso now towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Pause here as we arrive in the posture. Check in with the left knee while we're holding. Make sure it's still pointing forward. Make those adjustments. Now we're going to bring the arms down. We're going to turn that right foot out just to protect the hip, knee, and ankle. We're going to get ready for that Goddess Pose prep. Alrighty, so what I'm doing, I'm just kind of bending the right knee, lifting the the right heel just a little bit so I can spin on the toes, so I can turn out, bending the knee, drop the heel. So here's our Goddess posture. Remember, you don't have to go down too low. You want to be at a place where you are going to feel that thigh engagement, which means you really don't have to go too far. Just be sure you're not putting any extra pressure in those knees. Your feet should feel solid on the ground. They're almost gripping the mat. All right, let's extend the arms out to the side and then up into the air. There's our goddess pose, and then right back down. There, legs are getting stronger just by holding this. We're gonna rise up a little. Alrighty, I'm going to swing this right foot around to the front. So I'm back into the warrior one stance, arms up into the air. We did it. Inhale, exhale, hinge and fold. Bring your hands back down to the floor. Good pressure into the ground with the hands. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you, heel lifted. Strong straight arms, shifting the weight into the hands so you can slide the left foot back. There's plank pose. Let's bring the knees to the floor. All right, I called this half hero, or on your toes and just getting off the hands. Here, you're going to kind of move briefly into a full hero, just sitting back. You're going to feel a stretch in the knees, shins, and ankles, but we're not going to stay here. You're going to sit off to the side and swing the legs around to the front. All right, we're going to lie down. Before you lie down, if you need to, adjust your mat, grab some props, books or blocks, right next to you, ready to go. Sit in the center of your mat and go ahead and roll down onto your back carefully, and then go ahead and bring your knees into chest. Add some movement here. And return to the awareness of breath, because we may have forgotten a little bit about our breathing. Even though I do give breath cues in some of those movements, sometimes even though we are breathing, we're paying a little bit more attention to the posture, and that's fine. But now is an opportunity in this little restful state to bring our awareness back to the breath. All right, hold in stillness, still holding onto the shins or knees, a light flex of the feet, and just pull the legs gently out to the sides. All right, now this is actually another way to get ready for our frog pose. In a sense, we are doing frog pose, except we're doing it on our backs. We are going to be doing frog pose, but it's on our bellies, or just flipped over on the other side. It's going to add a little bit more pressure, really, and more sensation when we're flipped over to get into the inner legs. This is another preparatory move. And this is actually a modification or variation of the posture. Once we get into the fuller version of the pose, and if it doesn't feel quite right, come back to this. All right, let's bring the knees together. Let's set the feet onto the floor. Let's do a bridge pose. Now, it's okay to keep the feet a little wider than your hips here. Grab your blocks. Take a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, empty your belly, and then lift your hips high enough to slide your props underneath you. Make sure they're stacked nicely, they're not going to wobble, and they'll support you as you take a seat. And then make some adjustments with your feet and even your upper body as we hold here in this supported back bend. It's nice because you can pretty much relax here and just let the body be here without needing to hold yourself up. We like to do that in soft flow. And just return to the awareness of breath, taking a few deep breaths. Here's another way that you can prepare for frog pose, especially if you're sitting like this with your hips supported in the air on books or blocks. You can follow me or just stay where you are, but you can follow me if you'd like. You're going to bring the feet together. So maybe your knees touch. Maybe the inside edges of your feet touch. And we did this seated, but now we're just doing it lying down. We're just taking the knees out to the side. And let the soles of the feet, the bottoms of your feet touch. And let the knees kind of drop open. And we're not going to hold here too long because we're lifted into the air, much more space between you and the floor, which means gravity is really going to pull on those legs, getting a deeper stretch in the inner legs. Another indicator of what frog pose might feel like. Alrighty, we're going to bring the knees back up, plant the feet into the ground to get out of that sensation. Alrighty, so just another way of stretching the inner legs. Let's press feet into the floor, lift your hips so you can remove the blocks out from underneath you, and then carefully come down to the ground. Let's do another extension of the body like we did standing. Here, just extend the legs out front and reach your arms behind you. Very good. All right, let's come to seated. So you might just bend the knees, roll to one side, press your hands into the mat to help you sit up. Alrighty, now let's get set up for our frog pose. I think we've done all the things that we need to do to get set up for this posture. Now, one thing that I don't have, because we're doing yoga in my living room here, I've got carpet. If you're on carpet, that's great. But if you happen to be on floor, linoleum, hardwood, or anything like that, this actually might be an advantage, because what you can do here to get set up for your frog pose is actually take your blanket, it's going to be off camera here, but place it on the floor next to you, and then you'll bring one knee onto your mat, yoga mat, and you might even want to pad it, put a towel or fold your mat and take the other knee onto the blanket, and you're going to slide outward. But since I am not on the floor, I'm going to do a different variation of the pose. I'm going to fold just the ends of my mat in towards myself. Okay, so I'm in the center, okay, and I just folded the edges in. Alrighty, and my knees are going to go on those extra pads here and here. Now I do need my pillow, alrighty, so we need that pillow. I'm going to do this two ways so you can see what's happening, alrighty? Because I'm really facing you and it might be hard to see the angles here. But you can see my legs are wide. I am on my knees on some pads. You can even use your blanket, okay, for a little extra padding. Let me turn sideways here so you can just see. So you can check out what the angles are. Now what we want to create here, and I can use the edge of my mat for the line up here, is keeping the knee in the same alignment as the ankle. So a straight line down the shin here, rather than brought in like that. See the difference here? Knee to ankle, and as best as you can, hip bone. Okay, so nice straight line from hip to knee, like that. And so that's kind of the angle of the legs. I'm going to turn sideways again, facing you, so you can see, well, where am I going with this? Because we are going to get, because the legs are wide, we're getting that stretch in the inner legs. Maybe this is it. Maybe you're getting that full stretch right here. Remember, we're working at 50, 60% here. We're not overdoing it, even if you have the flexibility to go lower and deeper. So you might be up away from the floor, perfect, that's fine. That's why you've got your big pillow or cushion to slide underneath you. If you need that to be higher, that's why I said if you've got two big pillows, I'm going to use my blanket here for a little extra padding on top, because that way you can rest your belly, your chest right here. See, this is really comfortable. I like this. And then you literally can just rest here. Okay, now I can feel this, but it doesn't feel intense. I feel a stretch in the inner legs. For me, I would consider this maybe a 50% as far as the sensation I'm feeling, which means I can hold this for a long time, which is ideal for this. So some other things that are happening in our modified frog pose, or supported frog pose, let's say. I'm just going to turn sideways. Is that stretch in the inner legs, some release and opening in the hips because the legs are out as they are, like frog's legs. Alrighty, and you might even feel a little stretch in your glutes, maybe even a little bit of release in your low back if it tends to be tight. So this is our frog pose. So this pose can be used as a yin yoga posture. So what does that mean? Yin yoga, another style of yoga, is actually being in a pose like frog pose with a lot of props which provide a lot of support. In yin yoga, you're getting into positions like this so that you can hold them, but you're not engaging any muscles. Yin refers to the disengagement of your muscles, so you can just relax, completely relax. That's why you have all the cushions, all the support here. You're disengaging. You're not flexing any muscles like we were earlier in some of our postures. And because of the support of the props, you're able to hold this for a long time. That's the intention. Why? So that the body can do the natural stretch and release. What are we releasing? Yes, we're stretching some muscles that might be tight, but also connective tissue, the stuff that kind of holds us together. Lengthening, getting a little bit more fibrous, let's say your ligaments. Yes, even fascia. Fascia is like the webbing within your body that kind of holds you all together. We want to be able to release any bound up areas in the fascia, connective tissue, ligaments. That's what yin yoga does for us on a therapeutic level in our physical bodies. And you can see I'm holding this. Hopefully you're able to hold this posture for a long time, especially if you've got the right padding and you're at about 50%. Let's take 4 more breaths here. So we've moved into our frog pose, using it as a yin posture, relaxing completely, disengaging our muscles so we can hold the pose. And we certainly have done that. Now we're getting ready to come out of the posture. I'm going to bring my feet a little bit closer together. That's going to take some of the stretch away from the inner legs, coming up onto my hands and starting to lift away from my padding. I'm just going to kind of walk my knees towards each other. Now, if you're on the floor, you can just engage the inner legs and slide back in. I'm going to move my blanket to the side here. Move my big bolster to the side. And I'm going to unroll my mat. Let's just meet together here on our hands and knees briefly and take 2 breaths, cat and cow. Right there, just to get into that spinal mobility again, as well as the pelvis. We'll sit back briefly in hero, getting off the hands, sit off to the side, swing the legs around to the front, sit in the center of your mat, and we're going to roll down onto our backs again. Go ahead and draw the knees in. Now remember, getting into frog pose, which we just did, if you didn't feel like you had the proper support for that inner leg stretch and it was getting a little intense, you can always come out of that posture and maybe come to something a little lighter, like we did earlier. We're just going to repeat it here. Light flex of the feet, holding onto the shins or knees, take the legs wide. I'm going to keep the elbows bent. They're about 90 degrees here, so I can bring the elbows to the floor and really just let the legs rest in my hands. And take some breaths. So this just feels a little bit lighter, a little easier on the legs. Now, you may not want to do this as a yin posture because you have to kind of engage to hold yourself up. That's not what we want to do in yin yoga. We want the props to support our bodies. We want to be able to disengage all muscles so we don't have to hold ourselves up. And that's exactly what's happening here. Let's bring the knees together. Let's set the feet onto the floor for a moment so everything can just kind of relax and come back to neutral. Take a few breaths. We're going to finish with a twist and then make our way to Shavasana to end our practice. So once again, draw the knees into chest. Let's take a twist. We'll start by taking the knees over to the left side of the room and extend your right arm to the right side of the room. Nice rotation in the spine, affecting the low back, maybe your hips a little bit. That should feel good since we really did work this upper portion of the leg, didn't we? All parts, the glutes, the hips, okay? Inner thighs, that's the quadricep, kind of the front part of that. Hip flexor, a little higher up on the leg. Hamstrings a little bit, even the outer portion of the leg. Both stretching and strengthening the legs in these postures today. 2 more breaths on this first twist. And then we'll go ahead and bring the knees back up to center. You might pause here for a moment for the realignment of the spine. Now let's take the knees down to the other side. Spinal twist. Knees to the right. This is really optional, taking the left arm to the left side of the room. It's kind of optional. One, it's kind of for balance, but also opens up through the shoulder and chest. But if you need to or want to, for whatever reason, that arm can just rest by your side. You can still be in the twist and relax the arm. Another wonderful opportunity to return to the breath, and a way to prepare for our final resting position, reconnecting to the flow of breath. 2 more breaths here on this second side. When you're ready, just return to center. You might hug the knees in towards your body one last time, and then set the feet onto the floor. Then extend your legs out onto the floor. Maybe one more nice stretch. Extend the legs out front, reach the arms behind you, just so you have all that space down through the sides of your body, down through the entire spine and back, especially in the low back. And then you can just bring your arms down to your side. I would suggest turning your palms up. That way you get a natural outer rotation of your arms and shoulders, so you have good posturing actually, even lying on your back. It kind of mimics standing with good posture, but in this case, you're relaxing completely. Now, Shavasana can be and is a yin pose. So disengage, relax completely. Do a little body scan from head right down to your feet, and just notice if you're engaging anything, flex anything, trying to hold yourself up. If you need padding, extra support, use it. Blankets, pillows, anything to support your body in this position. And once you are in that relaxed state of mind and body, you can close your eyes or keep eyes open if you like, but take your journey inward. Slow, steady breaths. Each exhale is a continued release. Disengage, let go. A wonderful time to let the mind go silent as best as you can. If you're finding it a challenge to quiet the mind, that's okay. And if it feels better to actually think about something, maybe just acknowledge your practice. Just think about your practice. Your strong legs, some of the poses that we did, frog pose, those lunges, goddess pose, and maybe what they allowed you to feel and experience. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. Very restful, meditative state of mind and body. Remain here if you'd like, even as I end the practice. And when it is time to move, rather than moving too quickly, you want to move slowly. Take your time and start that movement with breath. Maybe 5 slow, deep breaths. As you're breathing in and out, deeply with intention, feel movement return to your body. And when it is time to move, go as slowly as you can. I'm just bending my knees so my feet are flat on the ground. A little pressure into the ground with my feet so I can roll to one side. And then using my hands to help press and lift myself up until I'm in a seated position. Feel free to sit on something like your pillow or folded blanket. Feeling nice and tall and proud. You can let your arms rest by your side, hands resting in your lap, or you can bring hands to heart center. Wherever you are, just take a full breath in and a complete breath out. And now, as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow together saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.